Carlos, it's good to see you, man.
Nice seeing you, man.
When I was a kid, I'd come out to races, and obviously I was, excited to see the drivers. But you have a very unmistakable look. So who the hell are you?
Well, I was born in a city called Macau, 40 miles south of Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Started my career over there with Theodore Racing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my main goal, was getting into racing since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
My parents wanted me to go to college, but that was one of their goals. But I fulfilled that dream, went to college and everything, and I got right back into racing, and that was my goal, was to get into racing.
So all your life growing up, you wanted to be in automobile racing?
Oh,
that
yeah.
was it.
Yeah, that was since I was a 6-year-old kid when my uncle took me to my first go-kart track.
Oh, okay.
And right there I was hooked.
And this is growing up in Hong Kong?
This is growing up in
Wow,
Hong Kong, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
If you weren't in racing growing up, did it ever cross your mind, like, what else you might do as a career?
No, not really.
So thankfully it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out really good. I basically fulfilled my dream.
That's
that was
awesome.
my dream of mine, and
Right.
that was what I wanted to do since
Yeah.
I was a little kid, and I worked really hard to get to this point,
That's great.
So
you grew up in Hong Kong. What brought you to the States then? How'd you get over here?
basically studies, because we didn't have a lot of schools over there that I could be in. So I wanted to come over and finish my high school. I went to actually Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
Finished my high school over there, and then came right to the States. Got my automotive mechanics degree, and then went to Federal State University in Michigan and got my management degree.
Nice.
Not that I really needed it, but
Yeah.
it was something to fall back on in case it didn't happen.
So eventually you did have a fallback plan.
Yes,
All right,
I did.
All right. So what was your first team when you started working professionally here in the States?
My first professional race team was Team KOOL Green. That
Okay.
was my first professional race team. I did do some hospitality and everything for Penske at that time, and also worked with doing show cars and all that stuff, just to get my foot in the door
Right.
at that time, because getting it right out of college, not a lot of people at that time was hiring into mechanics.
Right. Right.
So I kind of worked my way up slowly.
Yeah.
And then got to the point that I could get into racing. I started with Team KOOL Green, Indy Lights, and all that stuff, and ended up doing what I was doing.
Yeah. So what is your official job title now?
My official job title basically is I do it all.
Yeah.
10% of my job's driving the truck,
Okay.
but most of it is actually making sure this runs like a smooth operation.
Right.
I take care of everything from driver's uniforms, laundry, to making sure I have everything in the car, mechanics wise, what mechanics need, parts in the truck, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So basically my job is just not one. I wear a lot of hats
Yeah,
in this
Awesome.
job.
So I think an easier question asked rather than who have you worked for, who haven't you worked for in this paddock?
I've been very, very lucky. I
Yeah.
worked for really, really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for Team KOOL Green, Panther Racing, Kelley Racing.
Yeah.
Indy like Sam Schmidt Motorsports, now Andretti.
Yeah.
I've been very, very lucky in my career. I worked for very, very good teams and spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
My times with the teams have been 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
So I've always been with them for a while before I moved on to another team or something like that. Yeah.
Has there ever been a time in your life where you've taken some time away from racing?
I did. I took 4 years off when my daughter was born, because I wanted to see her grow up, and that was really, in a way, it was hard for me to leave racing.
Yeah.
But it was comforting to me to actually see my daughters grow up.
Yeah.
My daughter grow up, because both my sons, my older sons, basically knew me as a dad traveling.
Right.
So I was on the road a lot.
Yeah.
During the Champ Car days, we had unlimited testing and everything, so I was hardly home.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
when I was home, my kids would go, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah. So that kind of leads me to my next question. There's a lot of guys that do step away for some point. I was out of it for 9 years,
Yeah.
and here I am again. Why do you think people always come back?
I think it's because of the passion,
Yeah.
and the adrenaline. Racing is something that you don't get away from. Once it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that brought me back when I talked to Andretti's and they called me. I had a long thought about it, you know. I mean, I didn't jump right into it. I actually had to get permission from my 4-year-old daughter at that time.
That's cute.
It was okay, you know. And I used to bring her to the track at Indy, and she would get all excited. And I said, "Daddy used to do this." And, and she goes, "Really? You should do it." So that was my cue right there.
Yeah.
She said, "All right, I think I'm gonna try."
I had a similar experience. My 5-year-old now, like I took him to a race, and he's like, you know, this is so much fun. And I told him, "Yeah, Daddy used to work in this."
Yeah.
He's like, really?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because this is not a 9-to-5 job. It's not a Monday to Friday job. I mean, this is literally 7 days a week, 12, 13, 14 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And yet people can't seem to step away from that. Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting,
Yeah.
but it's a job that it's not like every other.
Right.
You know, I mean, every venue is a different challenge. You know, I mean, as far as for the race cars, the drivers, and all that, every venue, every track is different. I mean. When I'm at the track, I basically take care of everything. Tires is my main thing when I'm out at the track. I do that, you know, we have 4-car team right now. I oversee all that to make sure all the tires are ready to go. And I got help here, so that helps me out a lot. In the shop, it's basically just me and another guy, just 2 of us working. But that's my main job here when I'm at the track. Plus taking care of whatever they need, whatever the mechanics need, or whatever drivers need. That's my job over here.
So you started in the U.S. in the mid '90s, basically with Team KOOL Green. Now it's what, almost 30 years later.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite memories working in the sport that kind of stick out in your mind?
Oh my God! I mean, there's so many memories that I have with good teams. I think Team KOOL Green was one of the best years of my life because with Dario and Paul Tracy, those were really 2 drivers that really put it all out in the line, and I knew right there and then that was what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be a part of it. And that was really the change of my life, that I knew I was going to be in this business for a long time. And that was the key to my success. And basically, I worked really hard to get to where I'm at and stuff.
So on race day, the pit box you're in basically is for a driver, Colton Herta, who wasn't even born when you started. What could you say about Colton and his talent and where he's going?
It's funny because Colton, he wasn't born then, but I knew Brian very well. So when Brian knew I was on Colton's car, he was pretty excited, and so was I.
You're unforgettable, man. Everybody knows you.
Well, I mean the Herta family and even the Steinberg family and all that. A lot of them, like Tony Renna I worked with Tony Renna at Kelley.
He got me my first job.
Yeah, exactly. And he's related to Chris Simmons, which I worked with Indy Lights and Team KOOL Green. And stuff like that. So everybody knew me. There were a lot of times I didn't know them, but they already knew me. So that was kind of nice to know, because I mean, I guess my face and my head kind of stays
it's unforgettable.
Unforgettable. So everybody knows me.
Right.
You
well,
know?
I have to say, anytime people see you, you've always got a smile on your face, and
I love
I'm
my
sure
job.
People appreciate seeing that.
I love my job, you know, and that's the main thing. I think a smile goes a long way, even though it's a tough business, because there are up and downs in this business. I mean, there are days that you do well, and there are days that you don't do well, and there are days that everything goes wrong. You know, and for me, the smile goes a long way. If I can give that to everyone, I mean, that makes their day better. Man, I've done my job. You know, I mean, I might not feel it inside, but you know what? I still smile, whether it's good or bad. And that's the way to go.
So, for the point of my website is to kind of reach out to people to talk about the people within the industry. It's one thing for drivers to talk about why they should come out to a race. What would you say to people that have never been to a race event? On TV it's just cars going in circles. So why should they come out here?
They need to come out because it's a totally different experience. To the whole racing experience and the venue and everything tied together. It's just not the racing. It's the drivers, it's the fans, it's everybody. But everybody makes a race, and that's why they should come out, because it's a totally experience you don't experience sitting watching it on TV because you don't have the full effect.
Right.
I mean, watching the speeds on TV is totally different from watching the speeds out on the track.
Yeah.
That's why I tell everybody, at least come out to a race, because once you come out to race, you get hooked.
Have you ever brought anyone to the track and have them say that they had a bad day, they didn't have fun?
No, everybody that I brought to the track that I've convinced to come out have come the next year and the year after and became big fans of racing. No matter if it's INDYCAR, even IMSA and all, they became good fans of just racing as it is.
Very cool. Well, Carlos, thank you for the time, man. It's great to see you.
Awesome.
Best of luck with everything this year.
Definitely.
I'm sure we'll be running into you.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Calvin.